He doesn't ghost human beings. He blows up. When Quentin Tarantino deploys an actor, it doesn't fade away. It explodes. Tarantino isn't subtle. He's a director who will stand behind a performance until the day he dies or set fire to the bridge in public if you've ticked him off. With Quentin, loyalty is movie magic. So is betrayal. 30 years he's made genre-defying masterworks, Reservoir Dogs, Django Unchained, Inglourious Bastard, all of them seeping with style, attitude, and total command. His sets are a temple. His casting is meticulous. And when the chemistry is wrong, he doesn't make a change. He ejects. He's described as obsessive, brilliant, problematic, and revolutionary. But behind that brilliance lies a hard line. And if you're on the wrong side of it, you're not just cut, you're rewritten. Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, The Hateful Eight. Tarantino doesn't just write dialogue, he writes myth. But those myths only work when the actors match his energy. When they don't, the clash is explosive. He's worked with legends like Uma Thurman, Samuel L. Jackson, Christoph Waltz, and Brad Pitt, but some never returned. Here are 6 actors Quentin Tarantino shut out of his movie universe, and why he never glanced back. Number 1, Lawrence Tierney. Tierney was to be the grizzled heave-eye in Reservoir Dogs, a stone-faced noir legend. He had the sort of on-screen presence Tarantino craved. Casting him as Joe Cabot was the perfect idea, until cameras started rolling and all hell erupts. Off-camera, Tierney was a terror. Not in the presence of a diva, but in the form of volatile, unpredictable temper. He'd forget his lines, berate crew members, and constantly argue with Tarantino. During one notorious outburst, he had an argument with Quentin over blocking a scene that escalated into a shouting match. When Tierney left the set, Tarantino went after him and canned him on the spot. Later, Tarantino recounted to an interviewer, "It was like dealing with your senile uncle who's off his meds." That wasn't hyperbole. Other actors corroborated the mayhem. Michael Madsen reported that Tierney's presence altered the mood of the set. Each day became a crapshoot. Would they make it through the scene before Tierney blew? To Tarantino, who works best with precision and rhythm, it was unacceptable. He was 29, making his first feature film, and he didn't hesitate. Letting Tierney go wasn't only professional, it was personal. He had written the character for him. But when the atmosphere became poisonous, he emotionally cut him loose long before filming finished. Tierney never worked with Tarantino again after Reservoir Dogs. No cameos, no phone calls, nothing. Even when the movie became a cult phenomenon, Quentin wiped him from the story. No one-liners, no homages, only silence. In Tarantino's universe, going over the line isn't temporary, it's eternal. Number 2, Bruce Willis. When Pulp Fiction burst in 1994, it resurrected careers, redefined cool, and pushed indie film into the mainstream. For Bruce Willis, it was much-needed rebirth. He'd just experienced a streak of flops, Color of Night, Striking Distance, Hudson Hawk, Tarantino gave him a comeback. But something between them never worked. Offstage, Willis's signature sarcasm and Hollywood bravado conflicted with Tarantino's maniacal intensity. Quentin's scripts are holy, each beat locked in place. Willis, accustomed to improvising and running sets, wasn't always on the beat. He had star power. Tarantino craved submission. Crew members reported that tension hung heavy in the air. Tarantino found Willis too self-conscious, not the sort of actor who vanished into a part. While Travolta and Jackson remained lifelong friends, Willis remained an outsider. No bonding, no follow-up phone calls. Even in subsequent interviews, Tarantino extols the Pulp Fiction cast, but tactfully omits Bruce's name. It's not open contempt, it's erasure. For a director who revisits his favorite performers over decades, the lack speaks volumes. Willis, in turn, remained diplomatic. He never disparaged Tarantino, but he never gave credit to Pulp Fiction as the return it was. In Quentin's world, being loyal gets you legacy. Get out of sync, and you are gone. Willis highlighted a movie, pilfered some scenes, and then went missing from Tarantino's world without a sight. Number 3, George Clooney. On paper, Clooney and Tarantino should have been artistic compadres. They collaborated on From Dusk Till Dawn, a vamp crime fusion that provided Clooney with his initial significant post-*ER* film stint and allowed Tarantino to exercise his genre-bending muscles as writer and co-star. The movie was a cult favorite, but the collaboration never caught fire. And the reason wasn't kept under wraps, it was spoken aloud. Years later, Tarantino spoke bluntly, "George Clooney is not a movie star." No subtlety, no sarcasm, but a shot across the bow. He didn't merely rebuff Clooney's status, he doubled back, daring anyone to list Clooney's genuinely great films after 2000. Clooney, never one to remain silent, responded. He admitted that he was annoyed, defended his films, and cited Ocean's 11, Syriana, and Michael Clayton. But the respect was lost. Tarantino's critique was not random. He admires actors who disintegrate into their characters, not actors with red carpet charm bringing it to every shot. To Quentin, Clooney was polished, safe, bankable. Hollywood's neatly buttoned and pressed. But not raw, not risky, not the sort of actor who belonged in Tarantino's realm of blood, revenge, and psychological grime. Following From Dusk Till Dawn, Clooney never participated in another Tarantino film. No cameo, no co-starring, not even a whisper of one. And for a director who adores reprising cast members like old pals, that's a deafening shout. Clooney's star flew high somewhere else. He received Oscars, directed movies, topped franchises. But in Tarantino's lexicon, his name was erased. When interviewed and asked about him, Quentin doesn't hesitate. He doesn't regret. He doesn't even linger. Just silence and a trace of contempt. Being cut is par for the course in Hollywood. But with Tarantino, being fired is worse. It's being cut from the final cut of his film history. Number 4, Spike Lee. This was not creative tension. This was a public outcry, two film giants sparring over race, responsibility, and who gets to tell what story. Spike Lee has never been a man to hold his tongue. And when Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown opened in 1997, Lee fired directly at Tarantino's employment of the N-word. "I'm not against the word," Lee told the press, "and I use it." But Quentin is enamored with the word. What does he want to be? An honorary black man. It was not a toss-off comment. It was an attack on Tarantino's entire style of storytelling. Tarantino responded blunt, brutal, and uncensored. If Spike Lee can't appreciate Jackie Brown, then I'm sorry for him. He has no right to tell any other artist what they can or cannot say. Then came a line that grabbed headlines. Spike needs to shut the F up. From there, the divide became permanent. The real fracture deepened when Django Unchained premiered. Lee condemned the film outright, calling it disrespectful to my ancestors. He refused to even watch it. Tarantino, in response, dismissed Lee entirely, saying, "I think his problem is that I'm doing it better than he is. He's just mad because I'm making the black movies he wishes he could make." That wasn't disagreement, that was war. There's been no apology, no reconciliation. And if you look over Tarantino's body of work, you can see he's collaborated with almost every type of actor, but never dipped into Spike's orbit or put out a hand for a working relationship. Both men are still successful, but they pass in the night, never on panels, never in interviews, never even in courteous mutual admiration. That one quote from Tarantino, "He's just mad because I'm making the black movies he wishes he could make," cemented the fallout. It wasn't just offensive. It was final. Number 5, Steve Buscemi. He helped launch Tarantino's directing career. As Mr. Pink in Reservoir Dogs, he delivered one of the most iconic rants in indie film history. But behind the dry wit and manic energy, something strange unfolded. After that film, Buscemi, despite his loyalty and talent, was quietly phased out of Tarantino's universe. Theories swirled. The most enduring one? A now famous tipping argument. In the opening scene of Reservoir Dogs, Buscemi's character refuses to tip waitresses, claiming, "Society says, don't tip these girls. They're doing a job." It was a memorable moment. But others on the crew said that line wasn't totally fabricated. It was based on a genuine conversation. Buscemi had reportedly expressed such opinions off-screen during filming, and Tarantino didn't let it slide. A Reddit post later told by assistants even asserted Tarantino made light years later that if Buscemi ever got back in one of his films, he'd have to be a waiter. He wasn't joking around. That part never materialized. When questioned why Buscemi wasn't included in Pulp Fiction or Kill Bill, Tarantino dismissed it with a chilly remark. Sometimes people get one shot. That's the story. It was a contrast to the way other Reservoir Dogs performers like Michael Madsen and Tim Roth turned into long-term partners. Buscemi never complained in public. He went on to great work in Fargo, Boardwalk Empire, and dozens more. But fans picked up on it. For a director who enjoys recycling talent, the silence on Buscemi spoke volumes. I haven't spoken with Quentin in a great many years, Buscemi once confessed in an interview. But I wish him well. It was courteous, but chilly. In Tarantino's universe, feuds don't always blow up. Sometimes they dissipate into silence. Number 6, Warren Beatty. He was nearly Bill. Not for any Bill, the Bill in Kill Bill. Tarantino had written the role with him specifically in mind, shaping the character's tragic weight to fit Beatty's mythic cool. It was to be a movie comeback. But the partnership fell apart before a frame was ever exposed. Beatty and Tarantino sat down, talked about the role, even charted the character out. But control over the film became the chasm. Beatty, a director himself, demanded input, edits, changes of tone, perhaps even restructurings. Tarantino would not hear it. He was crafting a revenge opera, not a bargaining session. In David Carradine's account, who eventually replaced Beatty, the tension was instantaneous. Warren was attempting to direct the director, said Carradine, and Quentin will not play that. Tarantino never publicly skewered Beatty, but his silence spoke volumes. Later questioned about the switch, Tarantino provided a cryptic statement. It wasn't going to work. I needed someone who understood it wasn't their story. That one quote said it all. For Tarantino, every word, every edit is his. Beatty's contribution wasn't collaboration, it was trespass. The role was reassigned to Carradine, and Tarantino was invigorated by the freedom. Carradine afterwards referred to it as like a weight had been lifted. Beatty never complained, no bitterness, no public feud. Just absence. They've never worked together again, never found themselves on the same panel, never intersected again. In an industry founded on second chances, their clean break is all the more unusual. Tarantino summed it up simply. I needed someone who understood it wasn't their story. And that was the end of Warren Beatty in his world. In Quentin Tarantino's universe, it isn't just about talent. It's about trust, loyalty, and total creative submission. Step out of sync, and it doesn't matter how big your name is, you're gone. No rewrites. No reunions. Just silence.